Good morning, everyone, and welcome to our live day trading setup session here, February 23rd, 2022. Just a reminder, if these sessions are helpful for you, make sure you hit the like button and subscribe to the channel so you get notifications when they come on. Let's go ahead and jump in and get started. So the first thing we'll do, take a look at Forex Factory for our impactful events calendar. We've got Wednesday here on the 23rd. Let me zoom in on this so you can see that a little bit better. And we see here we've got German monetary policy this morning. Didn't see any real impact from that, and nothing else throughout the day today. And then just heads up for tomorrow, we do have the GDP quarter over quarter and unemployment claims at 8:30. So just keep that in mind. All right, let's jump in and start off with our dollar view here, and we are still just consolidating even more. Actually kind of get a pretty good look at this. Actually, the 180-minute chart here is probably the better one. Just you can see it's this general consolidation pattern right here. So we're just going to keep squeezing this down and down and down until finally it pops up one way or another. There aren't really any zones on either side of these to give you a good indication of which way it's going to go. So that's just a good thing to note. Just to be cautious there. Not looking for any big changes at this point. The overall trend though is still up on the weekly chart. And I just bring up the daily chart too here, right? Yeah, we're still moving up, so that's the overall trend. So if we're going to do anything, we want to take that and stay with the trend there. But nothing really jumping out that we want to try and get into at any point until it gets out of that consolidation pattern there. All right, moving on. Let's take a look at VIX, the volatility index, and we talked a little bit about this yesterday here on the 240-minute chart. We're looking for breaking above this line here, and as you can see, we still have not yet done that. We did get VIX dropping for the most part yesterday and not really creating anything new here that we can use. Just looking at some of the smaller time frames here again, just to make sure that I'm not missing anything. Again, with the VIX, I typically don't use anything lower than a 60-minute chart. But there are occasions where something smaller than that can work. Yeah, just not really seeing anything here at all. So I'm going to go ahead and jump over to Euro USD real quick as well, since that is the opposite correlation for the dollar. And let's see here, we've still got this overall downtrend. Not quite the same consolidation pattern as we saw in the dollar, but pretty close. So we really are just looking for it to make up its mind which way we're going to go from here if you're not already in a trade, and then we'll look to get in on something once we get outside of that. And I'm just looking through all of the time periods here, and nothing is really jumping out at me here. So let's go over to our index markets and the futures. And let's see, the only thing that we had happen yesterday, talked through a couple of these things on the 60-minute chart here, and as you can see, this wasn't a really great trade. We'll show you on the share bar charts in a little bit what happened here on a little bit of a finer scale. It'll be a good talking point as to why I use share bar charts. And also yesterday got that trade very wrong, where it actually worked out incredibly well if we would have taking it. We talked through this yesterday about this wasn't a really good setup here. There wasn't anything to the left over here that really looked like it was going to help us out. And then we did have this really nice zone down here. However, this is a counter trend trade, and as you can see, right, the price just blew right through it. So, just really good confirmation that that's why we don't try and take counter trend trades, even in an index market, even when it's up, because they just, generally speaking, don't work out for us. Nothing else here, though. We're, like I said, still in this downtrend. Trying to see if anything was created yesterday that's going to be worth looking into, and man, there just really isn't. So let's go over to NQ, so NASDAQ futures, and we had, so here's an interesting one, right? So we had the exact same thing scenario happen up on the 60 minute. We did talk about that too, right? So, and in this case, this first area here did not work again, which was kind of expected. However, the second part of this PPZ here, and this one actually looks a lot cleaner than the ES one was. So you could have, you would have put this one in probably up there, which would have made this area here work. But again, it wasn't protected, it wasn't clean, there wasn't any look left, which is one of my odds enhancers. So that's why I didn't take that one. But this area did end up working out well, and I'll show you again that on the share bar chart as well. It looks even much more clean over there. But this 60-minute area down here did work and is actually still holding. So again, counter trend trades, they don't always fail. Just the odds are much less in your favor for them. And so that's one of the reasons my data just shows not to take counter trend trades. So I don't. Let's see here. Anything else that was created yesterday that we want to take a look at? And again, I am just not seeing anything at all. So move it over to RTY. A little bit more strength in RTY than the other indexes right now. We did not have anything at all set up there, even as something to just monitor. So again, I'm just going to quickly look through yesterday's movements and see if anything jumps out at me that we are interested in, and I'm not seeing it. Let's go to the Dow futures, right? YM. We did have the Dow did respond incredibly well to this area that we had marked. This is put this in while we were looking at it. So this was this 45-minute area. Actually, it happened like right before it, right? We didn't quite catch this one. This setup is much better over here, so it may have actually taken this one had we gotten to it in time. And then you do see, right, yesterday we had this other area that was created later on in the day. And, right, so this one would have been, I honestly probably would have put this one in like right here, and price almost came up to where my entry would have been. Not quite, but then we did come back up above it. But again, there really wasn't a whole lot of other indicators here that would have allowed you to take that one. So that's not really a miss. Let's see here. Anything else on a smaller time frame? Yeah, just not really seeing much at all here. Did look at a couple of the other guys that I follow on Twitter this morning after, they do their analysis a little bit earlier than I do. And pretty much the consensus I got from them that, it's an inside day today, so it's going to be choppy, right? You're just not a whole lot of just clear indication of which way we are going. Got a couple people saying that this might be the bottom of this particular move, and we'll get either a correction up or it might follow through with the full move up. And then, of course, as is the case, right, you often have other people saying it's the exact opposite, and we're going to keep going down. So I did not. One of the guys I did follow, though, made an interesting point, right, that people that are in, short positions always say that the market's bearish. People in bullish positions, or long positions, always say that the market is bullish. A good trader doesn't care. We don't look to predict where the market's going to go. We look at the charts and we do what the charts tell us to, and that is it. So oil continues to, keep moving up, but again, it seems like it's hit some sort of an artificial level. We are close to that monthly zone we talked about yesterday, but we haven't quite hit it yet. We do have. So this was one that I think. I don't remember if we drew this one in yesterday during the show or not. I think we did on a 15-minute chart here. This one, yeah, I think I put it in here, but didn't actually mark it to take. We did that one with the share bar chart. I'll also show you that one in just a second. But as you can see, this one here worked out very well, actually. Right, you would have gotten at least a 4-to-1 return here. Yep, yeah, it was a 4-to-1 return, which is what our goal is. Just looking to see if there's anything else we can take advantage of here. We are going completely sideways now in the last several days, so you just have to be very cautious there. It's one of the reasons why I do sometimes use the share bar charts, is they're a little bit more accurate when you're getting into these types of situations. And actually it looks like we had a zone here set up from the London session, right, where you've got this picture perfect zone right here. And because the leg out from the second one is significantly shorter than the leg out from the first one, you would have taken the first zone. So I go about halfway in and go 3 ticks out for the stop. And so this would have been the entry if I would have seen this one prior to 8:05. Right, so I came up here at 8:05. And we'll track this one and see if it goes the full. It did. Okay, so that was a 4-to-1 trade as well. So just didn't get to this one in time. One of the downsides of doing the analysis that I do when I do it. I'm just going to mark this one. We missed this one here. So I'll document that a little bit later on so I can keep track of those. Let's see, anything else? Yeah, nothing else on crude oil. I would only be looking to go long on the higher time frames here. This short you could have gone just because you had a neutral trend in some of your higher or your middle time frames there, which would have been where you're monitoring trend for on a 5-minute chart. Euro futures. So we already looked at the Euro USD, really didn't see anything there, but I do watch them both because occasionally you'll get one of them will give you a good trade setup and the other one won't look quite as good. We are again short biased here, right? We're still in a downtrend. And just not really seeing anything worth taking there. Gold had this nice little spike up this morning and is now coming back down. Again, significant move up. This is a hedging option. Usually when there's issues in the world, particularly global conflicts, gold is a good place to jump in at. And we talked about it coming up into that daily zone, looking for some other indication that we were going to get a turn in price before we actually got into it. And I just don't see anything here. You can kind of see on some of these, but we'll just pull up the 240-minute chart to show you. We're starting to get this, creating a lot of white space and basing right here. Right, so you would want to, let's see, let me get this right. So you've really got all of this space right here. This would need to break above or below this before you really are looking to get any trades here. So that'll keep us from trading anything too short of a time frame in this area. All right, let's go to Japanese yen. And again, overall downtrend on the bigger time frame. So we're looking to continue to get short. And so we've got something here on a 30-minute. zoom in on this and just take a look at it a little bit better. So you've got this. So you've got a picture perfect zone here with the leg out from the second zone, much longer than the leg out from the first one. So you would go all the way to the top of this one, and I would put it right about here. It's probably the right place. And let's go ahead and mark this one up. We've got it's protected on the left. It took out the pivot points here on the left as well below. And we've got not the greatest look left in the world, but also not the worst. So it's not, you know, a perfect zone, but certainly meets all of the criteria that we need. Put this one in. So this is Japanese yen futures, JY. And this is a 30-minute short. Entry is 0.87125. Stop is at 0.8716. We'll go 165. And target is down at 0.8967. Mark that down here is JY. Okay. We'll get that on the tracker. All right, natural gas. Let's see, are we still moving up from our previous 240? So it looks like we came back down close, but we're still on the same trend line right here. So it looks like we might get another move up. Again, remember, if we close above this pivot to the left here, the second trade down here comes off of the table. But for right now, it is still on. And again, we are biased to the long now for the lower time frame trades. But I am not seeing anything worth taking there. All right, Japanese, the Nikkei index. We still have our 45-minute one. I did put this same 45-minute short up there. Sorry, I did put the same 60-minute zone in here. Again, remember, this was a counter trend trade. That's why we didn't take it. And as you can see, it did not work. So again, so far 2 out of the 3 of those. Now, honestly, I mean, you know, if you're trading, you know, at 3 or 4 or 5 to 1 trades, the 4 to 1 like we are doing, 2 losses, 1 win is still a win. You're still making money off that. So it's not the end of the world to take those counter trend trades. But again, I've just found that it helps me not to take them and to get a higher win percentage overall. And looks like we actually had something that I may have missed yesterday. Technically speaking, right, we did have a picture perfect zone right here, and the second leg out from the zone was shorter than the first leg out, so we would have gone about halfway up into it, and this trade worked out very, very well. So I'm going to put this one as a miss, and then I will track that, log that later on. Not sure how we missed that yesterday. That's a pretty decent looking zone. Okay. Now the other point to make for that one is we go back to the 45-minute area here. It is in that same area. We set this one up because they were equal to further in. Technically, this trade has already worked, right? Because it hit this first zone, which we could have used. I just chose not to. However, price did not come back down and take out this pivot left here. So we'll leave this trade on because there still is a high enough probability that if price comes back up and it'll move, and then it may move that full area down from here. So we'll leave this one on for now. All right, bonds. I think we did have a 60-minute 10-year bond trade set up, and we didn't really even come close to getting to that now, and it hasn't created anything else there on that time frame. Through any other time frames here, oof. Yeah, I mean, so you had a couple of them here now. Again, remember we're in a downtrend, so you can anything that fits the short on a downtrend, you can get a higher probability of taking. And so you do have this zone right here that came up. Again, I probably would have put it further in here so it wouldn't even have gotten entry yet. When you look left on this one, yeah, this zone took out both of these two pivots here, so not a bad place, but I would consider this one. This if you're not already in it, right? So not to get that 1-to-1, then this one is probably not going to be useful. But I want to track this and just see if a second entry into it would work. Let's go to US. Got the same setup on the 30-year bond futures here on a 15-minute chart. So then my only concern with stuff like this is when you have a candle formation like this, right? So you had the close of this one all the way down here, the open of the next one, there's a gap between them. That is not normal. Doesn't usually happen, and when it does, it usually weirds me out a little bit. So I don't like taking things that I don't feel comfortable with. So that's the reason why for that one. All right, Australian dollar. So we had a long on this one at some point. Oh, maybe not. Must have been a previous one that already closed out. This is going up significantly right now. We are, looks like, coming very close to potentially changing the trend here, at least going to a neutral trend on a daily chart. If we did that, then you could start getting into long positions. So let's see if there's anything in here that we would want to get into, but I'm not seeing anything that meets my criteria for that. Any shorts, anything that would keep this from moving up. This is a very small area here, but potentially I'm going to mark it as just to watch it. It's not an actual trade. I just want to know what price does when it gets there. So that helps me see that. And I think that's about it for Australian dollars. Go to British pound futures. And we're still in this white space area here. I have zero desire to try and get in anything in the middle of white space like this. Canadian dollar. And almost the same thing here. So we'll just bring this up on the daily chart just because you don't see this all the time. But as you can see, literally, for the past 3 weeks now, you've been trading in this exact box right here, like highs and lows. I mean, within tiny percentage points of each other. So that's just when we say inside day. By the way, that's what that term means, right? Is you're trading inside. It usually means the previous day's candle. So obviously we're not an inside day completely here, but I would still call it an inside day because you're trading within this block of candles that price hasn't moved out of yet at all. So yeah, same thing here, right? There's just no desire to try and figure out which direction this one is actually going to do. You could, if the trade plan allows you to do a breakout trade, these are the areas where typically you do set up for those breakouts. I don't. Never got good enough at them to be reliable enough to take them. Let's go to copper. And let's see here, copper is just doing this significant consolidation on daily zone. I'll just show you that here real quick, right, where you've got price coming up, and you got this trend line of price coming back down again. So at some point here, probably in today, maybe tomorrow, you will see it push out. But again, we just don't know which way it's going to come out of here. So and I think, yeah, again, really no trend here, so you could take either longs or shorts if a good one showed up. And I'm just looking through these and not seeing anything. All right, let's look at platinum. So interestingly enough, right, we talked about this yesterday. This was a gap zone, where the candle coming out of it didn't really isn't formed as a leg out, but it's acting like a leg out because of the gap here. And so I just marked it to watch it, but you can see, right, these things can work out, and when they do work out, they work out very, very well. So I mean, this was almost a 10-to-1 trade here if you would have taken it. Again, I typically don't. There's got to be some other odds enhancer for me going so that I will do it, and there wasn't one here, but they do work. I just don't see anything else here that I'm interested in taking. So back over, or now go into Swiss franc. Swiss franc is in an overall uptrend on the higher time frames, so we'd be looking to get into longs here, and for some of the smaller time frames maybe a short as well, because we're at neutral. I am not seeing anything though. All right, let's look at silver. Yeah, remember, silver typically follows gold. Their price charts look about the same. And so you had that little spike up this morning, bit of a drop, and now it looks like we're headed back up again. Again, overall uptrend. Would look to get back in on longs. We're not trying to short this at this point. And nothing is jumping out at me here. Okay, let's go ahead. I want to take a look at a couple of our index funds. I like looking at GLD, so it's one of the few futures markets that I also track in an index fund as well. Sometimes it can give you some pretty interesting zones here. Again, remember, we're still overall uptrend on this, so looking for areas to get long in, and got. Again, remember, when you're looking at, especially, these index funds that are only open, for 7.5 hours a day, sorry, 6.5 hours a day versus the futures that are open, 23 hours. Anytime that there's a gap like this, you treat the gaps as candles, right? So you would actually draw the candle here. This would be a leg out candle from here all the way up to here. And this one here would be a leg. It would be a short candle, right? A sell candle between here all the way down to here. It will be a full leg candle. So this actually is a picture perfect zone, and in this case that shows us that we should use the bottom part of this. So So I'm going to go ahead and label this here as a trade we would take. So let me mark it up. So this is gold index fund, GLD, and this is a 240-minute long. Entry is at 173.26. Stop 172.2, and target is 177.46. Now, we are going to get a gap up. So price did come back down quite a bit on this. So what you will want to look at 9:30 when these open is if price came down in gold into this area and then came back up and is gapping back up out of here, you'll need to just make sure that price didn't already notionally come into here overnight into this area, and then this would be considered a used zone, because we are going to gap up just a little bit from where price closed yesterday. Mark this one down for tracking. Okay. And then let's look at TLTE. So this is the 20-year bonds. We got the 10 and the 30-year bonds in futures, and we got 20-year bonds in the ETF. And this is it's a nice, good place to get some correlations and see where all of these markets are aligned. And again, remember overall downtrend, so looking for places to get short. Overnight, bonds did go up quite a bit, but then have now dropped down. And if the markets were to open right now, you would have a gap down in your bonds, so down from where current price is right now. And looking to see if there's any good places to get back in on a short on here. And unfortunately, I'm not. There's this one right here on a 180-minute chart. It's actually not a bad one, honestly. I'm going to mark this one up a little bit, but I don't know, I'm just not really feeling this one, calling it a trade. It's not close enough. I just want to monitor it. So we'll track this one to see if we get a gap up into here or something like that, and then price would come back down. But I'm not completely sold on that one, honestly. Okay, let's real quick, just want to run through the crypto before we get into our share bar charts. Did get a bit of a boost overnight in Bitcoin anyways. Again, still overall downtrend, although we are starting to look like this may be no, we didn't come low enough to get negative divergence on RSI yet. So yeah, this is still a downtrend. And Ethereum, so this is a very interesting gap area right here. So I'll mark this one up the same way we did that platinum one, right? Where we had this gap that you would treat as a zone, even though it's not perfect as one. And so I'm just going to monitor this. Right? Can we use these gaps? I don't have a lot of data on gaps in cryptocurrencies, so this will be a good data point to catch here. And then just real quick onto Litecoin. See if we have anything here that's worth looking at. Yeah, nothing there. Okay, let's go ahead and jump over to our share bar charts. And so first one here, I just want to show you the trade that we had set up yesterday. right? We had the 3,000 share bar long, right? And again, the reason why we set this up the way that we did, because we had this picture perfect zone here. Leg out candle from the second zone was much longer than the layout candle from the first one, so you go all the way down into it. Again, I go right, the zone really did start right here at 91.11. I usually go a little bit deeper in the zones because I've found that is very normal for crude oil. And so price came right back down, right, literally 04, so 2 ticks into the zone, popped out, came up, hit our target, actually hit our target in the overnight session, right? It didn't hit target until till 8:30 Eastern time last night. But again, good solid trade right there. One that worked out very well for us. And you can see right there. You see the number in the bottom of the screen here, right? Closed P&L from yesterday. So that was the profits from that particular trade. So now let's see if we can find anything else. You can see I was drawing some other zones on here during the day yesterday, just looking and just trying to see what things were doing. Didn't take any other trades other than the one that we had noted there. But a lot of this is just practice stuff. And as I'm going through my normal day, just looking for other opportunities. See, a couple of these would have worked out really well, and a couple of them would not. So this all goes into my tracking spreadsheet, which allows me to get a better understanding of what the markets are doing and when to take advantage of them like that. So again, overall uptrend on oil here. So we are much more biased to the upside and taking long positions. And looks like it did miss. Not miss. I should say I missed a short right here. I didn't miss a short, right? Because again, we're in an uptrend, so you can't really take them. But just again to show you, this is a zone, picture perfect zone. Leg out candle from the second zone is much longer than the leg out candle from the first one. So you take the first zone. Again, I typically go about halfway into them, and then 3 ticks above for the stop. Right. So again, this trade would have worked as well. But again, it's counter trend trade, so that's up to your own individual trading plans of whether you're going to take those or not. Again, I don't, so I would not have taken that trade, even though it did work out really well. Looking for additional longs here. We do have this pattern coming down right now, which is a lot of people call it a bull flag. We've got prices coming down, back up, down, and it's advancing down, but it's in this very clear channel moving down, which typically means you're going to get a move back up off of one of these. Usually either 7, 9, or 11 times down. So this is a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 here. So I would say, again, if you do pattern trading, which I do not, but just good to understand it, you'll probably get one more move down at least. And then, so what I would do then is, if I see this pattern, then I go, look, is there a zone down here that we could take advantage of that would line up with that? If there's no zone, ignore it. Patterns are good to help you find areas where there could potentially be trades at. But unless you have data and metrics that prove otherwise, I would stay away from trying to pattern trade. I've already looked at this one here, 1500 share bar. Yeah, wow, unfortunately, man, we're just not getting anything today. Yeah, nothing there at all. So let's go look at S&P 500 share. So I'm going to show you this, what we looked at yesterday. Not this one. Yeah. So we looked at this yesterday, and I made the comment, right, that this didn't fit my trade plan because this area here, this pivot high took out the one below, so it's not protected. It's what I call protected, right? When price changes, like right here, right? So price changed right here, and if this would have continued to go down here and created a zone up here, I'd look left to go, you know, it's protected, so it's a higher probability of it working. This one was not, so that's why we did not take these trades. But as you can see, both of them worked out very, very well. I mean, very, very well. Then you do see this other one that we drew down here, right? This was about this in roughly the same area as that 60-minute one as well. Again, counter trend trade, and it didn't work. Got a small bounce out of it. So sometimes you can do that, right? If you like taking counter trend trades, just take them as like a 1 or 2 to 1, but not a full trade. And that is exactly what happened here. But this did work, and so again, it didn't follow my rules. So I didn't take it. I tend to be a little bit more cautious than a lot of other people, and so I just didn't. And now we've got the almost exact same situation happening again, where we've got this picture perfect zone here. Leg out candle from the second zone is shorter than leg out candle from the first one, so this would be a first zone only. But it didn't take anything out over here, and when you look left, this is not protected. So this is what I mean, right? And I would say very, very high probability price is going to keep going up from here, and this zone is not going to work. So it'll be a good way to kind of demonstrate you know, why I don't. I like that protection, and I like it taking out a pivot left as well. It just gives those trades a bit of a higher probability to work. So I'm going to just mark this as a monitor only. Okay. And I think I drew a couple of other ones in here that I was just looking at. Yeah, nothing else worked out. So again, we are still overall in a downtrend. Bigger picture. However, again, some of the values of using a share bar a chart sometimes is you can, once you get into lower time frames, you can sometimes get a neutral trend to trade in and maybe take a shorter time frame long position against the trend in this case here. So just looking to see if we have any good ways of taking advantage of that, right? Like, you know, you could say potentially take this one as a long, but yeah, we're not there yet. If we break this line right here, then you could potentially jump in on a short time period long here. But again, remember, we are overall downtrend. So we've got, so this is another picture perfect zone, but again, it's not protected on the left and didn't take out the pivot here. But I'll draw it out. These are even, so I would go halfway between them. So this would be the zone I would take right here. And I'm just going to mark it because it doesn't meet my rules, but it technically is still a zone. And so just, you know, if there is questions about why I mark these things, the reason I do that is what I'll do is I'll do this, and if I get, you know, 10, 15 of these that work, I'll go back and look at my rules and go, okay, do I need to change them, right? Because the formation is still working, even though the location of the formation isn't the best. Again, I got no pride of ownership of whether my rules work or not. You follow them, you track it. If you need to change them to make things better, then I'm happy to admit that I'm wrong and have more trade options out there. So let's go ahead and end there. Nothing else really to look at. So again, if you found this helpful, please like the video, subscribe if you want notifications for when we do this in the future, and to get notifications of when these live sessions happen. Of course, any of the other videos and materials that we release as well. Remember, have a happy and safe trading day, and we'll see you all again tomorrow morning.